Now the Three Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. Betsy Woodruff of National Review is in for Jim Garrity today. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. And, of course, we've got good, bad, and crazy martinis for you as usual. The good martini is related to yesterday's bad martini. And that's because New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has walked back a little bit his comment from last Friday that created a huge firestorm in New York and beyond. Even the mainstream media up in New York City is covering this. And that was his comment that, you know, if you're pro-life, if you're pro-assault weapon, as he put it, anti-gay, as he put it, then you have no place in New York, because that's just not who New Yorkers are. That led to Glenn Beck saying, well, do you still want our tax dollars? And then Sean Hannity dropped this on Monday.
Now, I was born and raised in New York. I want you to know that. And I can't wait to get out of here. I really can't. I don't want to pay their 10% state tax anymore. I live in the second highest property tax county in the entire country, in Nassau County. I can't wait to sell my house to somebody that wants it. I can't wait to pay no state income tax down in Florida or Texas. I haven't decided yet, but I'm leaning Florida because I like the water and I like to fish.
There are also many different state Republican officials in the state Senate and beyond who condemned the governor's comments. The governor's office, Betsy, has responded, and they are, of course, putting the blame where the blame belongs. On the New York Post, they say it is fine to be anti-gun control and anti-choice, and the governor respects both positions. The New York Post, they say, distorted Governor Cuomo's words, saying that the governor said conservatives should leave New York. The governor did not say that, nor does he believe that. If you read the transcript, it is clear that the governor was making the observation that an extreme right candidate cannot win statewide because this is a politically moderate state. In the same response, the governor went on to say it's fine to be anti-gun control and anti-choice as he respects both positions. The Post can allow any person they want to publish in their paper, but if they are to retain any credibility, they cannot be entirely reckless with facts and the truth. So I guess he's digging himself in a little bit deeper, although it's nice to know that he hasn't sent out the thought police completely, because apparently he respects positions that 3 days ago he said mean you don't belong in the state.
It's such a wacky situation. And I think one of the most interesting things about all this is that now the story's morphed a bit more into a focus on New York's fiscal policies rather than the governor's comments about, you know, wanting to kick out all the pro-life people. You know, that's what Hannity was talking about. That's what Beck was talking about, at least among, you know, conservative media circles. It's kind of being highlighted that the tax burden in New York is incredibly onerous. You know, we've already seen, you know, huge numbers of Californians migrating to Texas because Texas has no income tax. It should come as a little surprise if we see this happening from other states as well.
As Hannity said, they're already putting out ads even before these comments begging businesses to come to New York when so many are leaving because of the tax burden. And, you know, given a lot of the regulatory concerns and a lot of business owners obviously concerned about the impact Obamacare is going to have on them, I'm guessing New York's not going to be at the top of too many lists of where businesses want to move.
I would assume so. I think it's probably premature to have any sort of optimism about de Blasio fixing that.
But he's going to fix that darn horse carriage problem in Central Park. So the scourge of the city. All right, on to martini number 2 now. And Betsy, you know, I'm old enough to remember some classic Olympic moments. The Miracle on Ice was just when coming of age there in 1980. Remember some 1984 Winter Olympics were great. Summer Olympics were great. And I'm sure you've got some Olympic memories of your own. Have you ever been in a build-up to an Olympics where we know almost no names of any athletes, but we're all aware now of the Black Widow who might already be in Sochi, and how this terrorism threat seems to be not only overshadowing the games, but leading elected American officials like Angus King of Maine and some others to say, don't go, because there could be a terrorist attack?
Yeah, I haven't. It's so bizarre. It's hard to think how having the Olympics there is good news for Russia. I feel like the coverage has been overwhelmingly negative. I mean, months ago we had the big, you know, boycott Russian vodka thing that a lot of pro-gay activists had because of Russia's legislation there. On George Stephanopoulos' show this Sunday, Putin said that it's fine because homosexuality is a felony in some American states. You know, obviously you have these security issues. I understand that, like, you know, obviously it's very competitive to have the Olympics in in any city. And people really lobby for this, but it's hard seeing how it's a win for Russia at all.
How big of a deal is this for Putin? Obviously, if it comes off well, the most he'll probably have to deal with is the gay protesters. But if there is a security breach and some sort of, God forbid, a deadly terrorist attack, his position on the world stage is going to be somewhat damaged, I have to think.
For sure. I mean, he sold damaged goods. So if that happens, it's definitely bad news for him.
We'd love to see him with a little less moxie, but certainly not at the price of lost lives at the Olympics, because wherever they are, we want those to be what they're intended to be, and that's a celebration of the best athletes in the world doing what they do best. So go USA, and let's keep everybody safe. All right, on to the crazy Martini now, and we know the federal healthcare exchange at healthcare.gov has had countless problems, and the numbers are still way below what anybody expected they are, and the numbers we do have are largely people who already had coverage, and so it's just kind of a mess. But state exchanges are also having major problems. As far as I know, Betsy, there's still nobody signed up in Oregon, and now the latest head slapper is in Maryland, and this is from hotair.com. The latest problem to hit Maryland's online healthcare exchange is an incorrect helpline number that directed hundreds of callers to a Seattle-based pottery business. You can't make this stuff up, and I guess if it wasn't so serious, it could be funny, said Senate Minority Leader David Brinkley, a Frederick County, Maryland Republican. The website mistakenly listed a 1-800 number that sent some Marylanders attempting to pick a health insurance provider to Seattle Pottery Supply instead of the call center. The number appears under the words State Advantage and Call a Representative. The correct number for help shows up multiple times on the site before the incorrect number appears. In the terms of fixing glitches, this one would appear to be pretty easy to fix, but Maryland has been completely beleaguered by a lot of other glitches here. Their enrollment numbers are way, way, way below expectations, and so the hits just keep on coming here.
But I've got SeattlePotterySupply.com pulled up, and it's pretty interesting. They have all sorts of glazes. They have studio equipment. They've got a lot of different lusters and metallics. I mean, understandable. Maybe it's hard to sign up for healthcare, but at least you can check out some free make-your-own fired-on decals. I think that's interesting.
I wonder if before people realized what was going on with the Maryland Exchange, the Seattle Pottery Company was going, wow, for some reason we're really popular in Maryland right now.
In these dark economic days, I'm sure Seattle Pottery Supply isn't complaining. In all seriousness, stuff like this is just so absurd. It's the kind of thing you can't make up. You see these stories break, and it's just like, a couple of years ago when Republicans got criticized for being, Obamacare naysayers and trying to hijack it and stuff. I mean, theoretically Republicans could try to hijack it, but it seems like the people running the Maryland Exchange don't really need much help. Yeah, in a state like Maryland, you can't really blame Republicans for, anything because they have no power to do anything. And so the fact that this isn't working, there's only one direction to place this blame. And much like the federal exchange, these states had, nearly 4 years now to get this right, and they haven't gotten it right. So, again, would be funny if there weren't people who are being forced to buy health coverage and they can't do it because they're having technical issues. And then once they do get through the technical issues, of course, many of them are finding that the options aren't all that attractive. Fun times, but at least you got a nice vase out of the deal. Exactly. If you stayed on the link to the Seattle Pottery Company. Betsy, dodge the snowflakes if you can, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for filling in. Thanks a bunch. Talk soon.
Betsy Woodruff of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for listening today. Jim and Garrity and I will be here on Wednesday, weather permitting, and join us then for the next edition of the 3 Martini Lunch.